It's been mentioned that maybe squirrels are psychic or telepathic. I have not Googled it to see what Google has to say, but I've had people mention that, just kind of suggest it. And normally I just kind of brushed it off, I thought, well, no, it doesn't, I don't know. I thought, maybe it's like in their DNA and their senses and all that, that they have such amazing response times. Well, I saw a couple things a couple weeks ago that I'm like, okay, I cannot explain this. All right, so I think the two happened on the same day. The first one was I was sitting inside working and I'm looking at my screen, my laptop. I was totally engrossed in what I was doing, totally looking at it. I can't even say I felt the eyes. I was sitting there working, I was totally engrossed. I swear I do not know what made me turn my head and look out the door. There was no sound, there was no motion. I was in a different part of the house where just things are very quiet, and normally I just do what I'm doing and I look at my laptop and there's no squirrels running in and out or anything like that. But I'm sitting there working, all of a sudden, I don't even know. In fact, I was on a call. People were talking, and I was talking, so I was actually deep in a conversation. And all of a sudden, I turned my head. I don't know why. And I turned my head, and White Tip was staring at me in this very... I knew she needed help. So I actually let my call for work go for a few minutes and I walked outside. I knew, I could tell by the way she was looking at me, she needed help. So I walked outside and sure enough, it was a hawk issue. And I helped her out with that and then got back in before, it was my turn to talk again on the call. How did she do that? I was working, I was talking, I was focused, she was not in my periphery as I'm working. She was not and then I don't know what made me turn my head. And when I did, she was just laser focused on me. I feel like she made me turn my head. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I couldn't see her. That happened. And I was going to post something on that day. That was interesting enough. And then it was either that day or the day after. I was out back. It was later in the day, and all of a sudden, and there were a bunch of squirrels out there, and then all of a sudden, just Tupac, she just ran from where she was and got on a tree, hanging upside down by her feet in the position, stark still. It was a very wide tree, and she got on the back of it as though there were a hawk on the other side of it, right on the other side of it. She was stark still the way you would be if there were a hawk. And I'm like, looking around, I'm like, Tupac, what? There's nothing. I couldn't figure out. And all the other squirrels were pretty normal, so I'm like, I don't know what her deal is. And I kind of just blew it off and I kept going about what I was doing. It was like a full minute, maybe 2 minutes later, a hawk came flying from the direction she was hiding from, and she stayed on that tree. She would not move. She wasn't listening to me telling her, oh, there's nothing wrong. She was just stark still, like she knew she needed to be there. And it was like a minute or 2 minutes later, this hawk came flying from the woods, and he came from the direction that she was exactly on the polar opposite side from. So she was in the perfect position to hide herself from the direction he came from. And and I had to get him out of there. But it's like, how did she know? It was a minute or two before. There couldn't have been a sound. And the other thing is the other squirrels in the area didn't react. But she knew. So do some squirrels have better hearing than others? And if so, come on, how good can your hearing be that you hear a hawk from a minute or 2 minutes away? Those things fly faster than cars drive. So I don't even know what the distance would have had to have been for him to be away, for her to have heard that. Because when he came barreling. He was flying. And so, I don't know. I'm going to keep looking and observing and just see what I see. But that day, those two things together, it started making me think maybe there is something to this idea that squirrels have some extra perceptions or telepathy or something that we don't have, and maybe even that other animals don't have, to give them some kind of edge. Because come on, did God put these animals here just to die? Why would he do that? The squirrels are mentioned in the Bible, so they were around in biblical times. God, you know, they're in the Bible, so I mean, he can't. He put them here. What did he? He didn't put them here just to as a joke, as just out of hate or malice. God isn't that way. I mean, I don't know him. Well, I don't feel like I don't remember. I don't know what you want to say. I can't speak with any more authority than anybody else. But in my perception of God, God is not that evil that he's going to create an entire species to come here just to be devoured. So he maybe gave them extra stuff that we don't have because they need it. Look at their size. Look at everybody's after them. Everybody. There's humans that have malice towards squirrels. Why? I cannot understand. But, those guys, can you imagine? We can't imagine as humans having that many predators after us. And for the size they are and the weight that they are and their sweet demeanors. I mean, they're not killing machines. They're sweet. But they have to defend themselves against all of these predators. Maybe God gave them something that we don't have. Just because we don't have it doesn't mean they don't. So, just an idea.
Guess who's here? Miss Rio has made her way to the backyard. Here's little Sweet Eyes. To my knowledge, Rio's never been in the backyard before. Can you believe it? Little Rio made her way to the backyard. You want to come up? She's so sweet. I'm so happy. I went running around the block, didn't see her, and it's kind of cold out, so I thought maybe she was just bundled in somewhere, and then she made her way here. It's Huggy. He's looking at Rio. You're a good squirrel for leaving Rio alone. Yeah. Here she comes. Here she comes. Rio, here she is. Whoop. Hey, no chasing Rio. Did you get it, Rio? And here we have Rio. Here we have little Miss Rio. If it weren't for the way she moves, I don't think I would have been able to have kept track of her after the fur changed from brown to black.